Pakistan, the sixth most populous country of the world, with exceeding 185 million people. Pakistan is committed to achieving the targets set in Family Planning 2020 Summit. Pakistan pledged to increase CPR from 30% to 55%, universal access to family planning services by 2020, allocate appropriate budgets for the task, family planning to be the priority of the 100,000 lady health workers, engage men, private practitioners and religious leaders to scale up family planning all over Pakistan.
The FP summit that took place in London in 2012 was a major game changer. It was organized and it was the kind of an initiative by Melinda Gates to really bring back the attention to family planning, which the world has stopped paying in the past. So the Family Planning Summit then led to the way of establishment of a very strong inbuilt monitoring mechanism for the commitments that the World Together has made to reach out to 120 million additional women by 2020 who has unmet need for family planning. FP 2020 is a mechanism who is monitoring each country's commitment to that promise. In Pakistan, there has been a promise to increase the contraceptive prevalence rate from 35 to 55%. The government of Sindh has been extremely attentive to these issues. They are working hard to make a plan to succeed in that. There is a FP 2020 task force. There is an oversight committee which is headed by the very high level political figures and by the bureaucrats, and we are trying to see how we can achieve this target by 2020. And with civil societies like a lot in the field, like Family Planning Association of Pakistan and others, we are very hopeful that we would be able to complete the task that has been assigned to us.
Universal access to family planning is not a numbers game. It will require a holistic approach. For example, in Pakistan, it is directly linked to the status of women. For example, to achieve the goals of the FP 2020 summit in Pakistan, it is very important to deal with issues like early and child marriages. Once we we are able to repeal the laws and review the laws, we will be able to impact 64% of the population, which is currently at under the age of 29. This 64% is among the 122 million women and girls that we are trying to reach out through FP 2020 summit targets. Women need to have control over their bodies. Women need to be able to make the decisions about their health, about their life. They need to have the freedom of choice. Only then we will be able to bring the CPR rate up. I believe that once we are able to impact the status of women positively, our CPR will go beyond 55%, which was committed by the government of Pakistan in the summit. Rahnuma FPAP, along with other civil society members, is campaigning hard to get rid of these harmful traditions like early and child marriage, and one successful example is the repeal of Child Marriage Restraint Act of 1929 in Sindh Assembly. And we are going to focus on that as a success story in this documentary that you will be watching. I strongly believe that in Pakistan, if we raise the status of women, we'll be able to only then implement family planning programs successfully. Without it, all the initiatives will be partially successful and not fully achieve the targets. People ask me, is it practical to dream of a change in the status of women in a place like Pakistan where religious fundamentalism reigns supreme? I believe so. I believe so because of the people like Mehtab Rashdi. You will see later in the film that how Mehtab Rashdi alone stood against all the religious fundamentalism and made it possible for the Sindh Assembly to adopt a new law for child marriage. This is an example of the measure we need to take. These are the kind of measures we need to take for successful family planning programming in Pakistan. And as long as we have people like Mehtab Rashdi, I'm very hopeful we can do it. My answer today again and again is that it is all linked to the status of women. If we are able to get rid of the harmful traditions, we will achieve our goals. The Sindh Assembly managed to repeal the Child Marriage Restraint Act of 1929 in the face of direct opposition from the Council of Islamic Ideology. These are the kinds of the measures that we need to take, and when we take it, we will be able to impact and achieve the goals, impact the results and achieve the goals that we have set for ourselves in the form of commitments in FP 2020. Is it doable? Definitely, it's doable.
Mehtab Rashdi, a celebrity, a parliamentarian, a visionary, a courageous person, a leader. Mehtab Rashdi is also the president of Rahnuma Family Planning Association of Pakistan. One of the contributing factors for high population growth rate is prevalence of early and child marriages.
Looking at the girls, because they were married away at the age of 9, at the age of 10, at the age of 12, which is the age for a child just to play. And overnight, this little girl who was playing with the dolls was married off to maybe an elderly person or maybe a boy of her age, but both immature, unable to handle their situation themselves and act practically. So what was happening, that health-wise the girl was the victim. She was giving birth to a child and maybe dying in the process, or even the mother and child both were dying. So all these things compelled British to come up with a law, and they fixed the age 16 years, and we repealed this same law of 1929 in 2015. Look at the gap. This is a huge gap after so many years. Look at the increasing population. Early the girl marriages, the population increases because her fertility age is, huge. She has so many years to go. So it's just not one child that she is giving birth to. She is giving birth to 10 and 12, as many children as she can bear. The province of Sindh and the Assembly of Sindh thought about it and raised age of marriage from 16 to 18, both for girl as well as for boy. If you ask me, I would say that it should have been 20. And the Quran says that a girl cannot get married till she herself decides that she likes the person and she is ready to marry.
As the Sindh Assembly was gearing up to review the Child Marriage Restraint Act of 1929, the Council of Islamic Ideology came up with a fatwa condemning the move, saying it is un-Islamic. Mehtab, living up to her reputation of bold and angry fighter of rights, moved a resolution nullifying the CII's instructions.
There was one important resolution that I moved in Assembly was against the recommendations of Council of Islamic Ideology. Very important, and this is part of the Constitution. And this body is being made because if government is confused about anything, which is that there shouldn't be any confrontation between the country's laws and the Islamic laws and the Sharia laws, they seek the recommendations from the CII. So it is very, very important, and they are sitting at the high pedestal, and their recommendations are actually taken very seriously by the government. Now the person sitting at the helms of affair over there, one good morning comes up and he gives 2-3 recommendations. He said that even the 5 years old girl can be married, and there is nobody is stopping it as far as the Sharia is concerned. So this thing was something which provoked me, and I brought a resolution in Sindh Assembly against all these three recommendations and my reason was that these are very insensitive recommendations, ignoring completely the rights of women, ignoring completely what the situation is, very insensitive. So I moved it that it should not be, government should not listen to this, and this Council of Islamic Ideology has failed to protect the rights of women, so it should be disbanded. I don't consider it is of any use. So surprisingly, I was not sure that how my assembly is going to react to all this, and myself being a person from the opposition party is moving with a very sensitive resolution. So, but I was so proud of myself and my assembly that not only this resolution was unanimously passed, but again all the parties sitting in the assembly supported it and strongly supported it, and each one of the parliamentary leaders of all the parties stood up, read my resolution themselves and made speeches in support of this resolution.
Mehtab, resolution moved in Sindh Assembly. As a result of this resolution, the Child Marriage Restraint Act of 1929 was repealed and a new bill of CM 2013 was enacted that raised the age of marriage from 16 to 18 for girls and made the law punitive so it can be effectively implemented. A small step, but a giant leap in the lives of Sindhi women. This time, no reaction by Council of Islamic Ideology. Mehtab proved to the other decision makers that there is no need to get intimidated in the fight for rights. She strongly believes that Islam is all about empowering women, and all those who study Islam know that.